Hi guys, it's Ben Heath, and in this video I'm going to give you a Google Ads tip that can massively increase your click-through rate. And when it comes to getting better results from your Google Ad campaigns, your click-through rate is very, very important. And to actually understand how important, we need to have a quick think about what it is that Google as an ad platform wants. What's their objective? Now, of course, their objective is to make more money. They want to increase revenues, they want to increase profits, etc. Now, how does Google do that? Firstly, they only get paid on a pay per click basis, where PPC comes from, right? Now, that's a little bit different to other ad platforms that might charge for, say, on a per 1,000 impression basis or something like that. So in order for Google to make more money, they have a few different options, right? Firstly, they can charge more per click, and that's something that's been taking place over the last couple decades. It's certainly going to continue that they will charge more per click, and that's sort of baked in. Secondly, they can increase the click-through rate, so how many clicks are generated from the current number of searches. That is what we're talking about on this video, the CTR. And then thirdly, they can also just increase the total number of searches, which then would lead to more clicks and they make more money that way. Now, if we just quickly tick off that third one, there's not a huge amount more Google can do to increase search volume than they haven't already done and that isn't already sort of baked in. Particularly in developed markets, we search on Google all the time. There's not too much more in terms of activity that's going to take place. The growth that's baked in on that front is from other countries, more people getting devices where they're searching on Google and all that sort of stuff, right? So that third one's sort of baked in. Google's more focused and has been recently on those first two options. Charge more per click, which is not what we're talking about here. Nothing we can do about that right now, or increase the click-through rate. Now, if you can increase your click-through rate, so instead of generating a click-through rate of say 5%, you can get a click-through rate of 10%, that makes Google very happy, and they certainly reward advertisers with that. You're going to pay less per click. We always see, well, I shouldn't say always, we very nearly always see, I can't think of a case where it hasn't happened, but I'm sure there is one, where we work on click-through rate, increase it by a non-trivial amount, increase it by a reasonable amount. It nearly always leads to a better return on ad spend and just better results overall within your ad account. So really put that in mind when you're thinking about improving your click-through rate, how important it is. It makes the ad platform happy, and it's also a leading indicator that people are interested in your ads, because if they're clicking on them more, that's great. Now, just to very quickly explain, if you're not familiar with what exactly click-through rate is, it's a very simple ratio that just talks about the number of clicks generated versus the number of impressions. So if you had 100 impressions on an ad and 5 people clicked, that would be a 5% click-through rate. Very straightforward. Okay, so in a second I'm going to explain how we go about increasing click-through rate, my number one tip on that. Before I do, just want to quickly mention our done-for-you Google Ads services. If you're interested in having my company create, manage, optimize your Google Ad campaigns, click on the link in the video description below, book a call with one of my team, find out all the details that you need. So how do you go about actually increasing click-through rate? Now, there are lots of different techniques. There are lots of ways to do this. I'm going to focus on one technique, the one that I have found to be by far the most effective. And if you've been running Google Ad campaigns, you'll be thinking about trying to increase your click-through rate. If you go through this process I'm about to describe, there's a very, very, very good chance that it is going to do so, and that's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of the results you generate. Now, I'm talking about increasing the specificity within your Google Ad campaigns. And I'm going to give you an example to sort of walk you through this. So I've got a Springer Spaniel, right? And let's say I wanted to hire a dog trainer to help me with certain things that he does that I don't want him to do, all that sort of stuff. Now, if I go into Google and I search for Springer Spaniel dog trainers near me, just the sort of thing someone might search for when they're looking for that service. When I do that, the ads that pop up are normally not specific to Springer Spaniels. You will see dog training and all sorts of things related to just dog. Okay. Now, if there was an ad in amongst those other ones that was Springer Spaniel specific, I would be far more likely to click on that ad than I would just the generic dog trainers. Now, the other people that are just advertising on a generic dog training keyword terms and using that within the headlines of their ads, they might provide just as good a service and it'd be just as applicable to the person that's advertising with Springer Spaniel related terms in the headlines of the ad, and then obviously matching those up to the keywords. But that person is still far more likely to get my click, because when I take a glance at it in an instant, I think, oh, that person's actually really looking for what I want. I want to work with someone who has breed-specific expertise, because that's going to help me get my desired outcome, which is a dog that behaves better, and I have a Springer Spaniel, right? So I'm more likely to click on that ad. Now, if I go through to their website and I see that they have information about Springer Spaniel specifically, I'm then far more likely to go ahead and work with them. So this specificity is absolutely key. So let's say, for example, you are a dog trainer and you have all sorts of search terms that you're advertising on, and you have ads that have all sorts of different headlines and descriptions that are to do with dog training. If you were to break those out, so let's say you've got one ad group for all of that, and you were to break out that ad group into 12 different ad groups, each one for a specific breed, maybe the 12 most popular breeds that you work with, that probably covers 90% of your clients, for example. And each time, instead of just doing dog training, and you could do that as well, by the way, you could have a sort of catch-all for people that are searching for just generic dog trainers in Google. But if you then broke each one down, so you had a specific ad group for Springer Spaniels, a specific ad group for Labradors, a specific ad group for Jack Russells, whatever it is that you're, the dog breeds that you want to work with. And then you have headlines, you have keywords within that ad group that are specific to each breed, and then you have ad copy that matches with those keywords. So given the Springer Spaniel example, I'm searching for a keyword that's got Springer Spaniel in it, and then the headline of the ad has the term Springer Spaniel. That is going to increase your click-through rate massively. You look like a much better option than your prospects, even if you are offering the exact same service as everyone else, just because you have broken it down and the language in your ads more closely matches what your target audience is searching for. That makes a huge difference. Now, an added bonus would be to then go and create specific landing pages for each one of those breeds instead of just all sending them through to a generic dog training. That's not only going to help, obviously your click-through rate is going to be handled sort of by the ad itself, but that's going to then help increase your conversion rate. Yes, it takes a little bit more effort, but is well worth doing. And I've never seen this not increase click-through rates on campaigns that have already been running. When you take a campaign that's got more generic terms already been running and you really break it out into component parts, so more ad groups with closely aligned keywords and headlines in ads that match, it nearly always improves click-through rate, which nearly always improves results. So go ahead and implement that tip. It does take a bit of time, but is well worth doing. And I also want to quickly mention this video here. Google Ads keywords are not what a lot of Google advertisers think, and they get caught out by this. If you check this out, you'll understand exactly how they work, and you can adjust your campaigns to make sure that you aren't showing up for a lot of searches that you don't want to show up and wasting a lot of budget.